Hi everybody, I'm Sarah Ockwell-Smith. Welcome to my latest SOS parenting video. Today I'd like to talk a little bit about coping with your firstborn's behaviour when you have a new baby. Now I want to add a little caveat here and say what I tend to find is that a lot of parents seem to think that a new baby arriving should only affect the firstborn's behaviour for a few weeks or a few months. Often what I'll come across if somebody's having a discussion online is a parent will say, oh, the baby sibling was born 6 months ago or 12 months ago, so it can't be that anymore. Fortunately, it kind of can be. It can take many months or even actually years for a child to finish completing that transition from an only child or one of two to being one, having a sibling, whether it's their first sibling or their second sibling or more. But it really can take that long. The other thing with the transition as well is you might find that some cope initially well with the transition, but you find the difficult reaction 9 or 10 months down the line. And again, people would dismiss that and say that's not because of the new baby. But actually what tends to happen then is some kids will cope really well until the baby starts to get mobile and starts to get around and touch all their things, and you'll find a very delayed reaction. So when I talk about the birth of a new sibling affecting the older child, I actually mean at any point in the first year and even a little bit beyond. I'm not just talking about the first few weeks and months. So what do you think happens? In the second baby book, if you're listening and you are expecting number 2 or you've just had number 2, I do discuss all of this in the second baby book. But what I talk about is the idea of not using the term jealousy to describe how firstborns feel when a second baby arrives, because it really and totally misinterprets and undermines how difficult that experience is to the firstborn. They are not acting naughtily because they're jealous. They are grieving. They are going through a massive life change, and the whole world has been ripped out from underneath their feet. So I will often talk about, imagine that you've left for work this morning, you've gone out somewhere this morning and your partner's at home, you have a happy relationship, and you come back this evening and your partner introduces you to their new boyfriend or their new girlfriend. And this new boyfriend or new girlfriend has moved in, and your partner says, but don't worry, because I love you just as much and I think you'll be great friends. You know, I have enough love to go around all of us. How would you feel? I know that's a bit silly, but think about how you'd feel. You'd be thinking, but why? Have you replaced me? Do you not love me enough? What's the matter with our relationship? And you probably really struggle every time your partner was showing the new boyfriend or girlfriend some affection. And to all intents and purposes, that's kind of what we put our firstborns through when we have another baby. They are not being jealous. They are not being deliberately naughty. They are grieving that one-to-one relationship that they had with you when all of your love and all of your attention was theirs. And now they've got it 50% of the time. Very often, actually, they've got it a lot less when you've got a newborn or a baby who's, really busy and taking up your attention. And then we add to it by perhaps moving them out of our bedroom into their own bedroom when the new baby takes their place in their cot or crib or in our bed. So the other thing that we do that also adds to it is when, if you're the mum and let's say that you're breastfeeding. So what tends to happen is we've got a breastfeeding mum, so the baby almost becomes mum's job, and the mum was always having the baby, and then dad or partner tends to take the older child out, whether it's to school or nursery or preschool or swimming or the park or whatever it is, because obviously dad or partner isn't breastfeeding the baby, and that just tends to be the natural way that it falls. But actually what that older child needs is time alone with their mum, because they tend to never get that. They get plenty of time with dad or partner, but not with mum or grandparents or somebody. So what we really need to do is to give you that older child that one-to-one time with mum. What can you expect of your firstborn's behaviour? As I say, it could happen at any point over the first year. You might have a really smooth sailing for the first couple of months, or you might be really choppy waters for the first couple of months. But it could come in after 6 months, it could come in after 9 months, could come in after 12. What should we expect? Anything you would normally expect with grief. Maybe some anger. You would probably expect their sleep to get worse, their behaviour to get worse. If they're toilet trained, often you'll find regressions in that. And the other thing you'll find regressions in toilet training, sleeping, and also eating. They tend to get quite picky about what they eat. Why? Because these are the 3 things that they can control. They feel very out of control with what's happening in their lives. So they try to get some autonomy and some control through their eating or their sleeping or their toileting. And all of these things are normal. It doesn't mean you've done a bad job. It doesn't mean that your children are going to hate each other forever. Sure, they'll have a great, wonderful sibling relationship as they grow. It just means that during this temporary transition, they're finding it a bit difficult. How should you respond? Tons of empathy, tons of understanding, tons of support. Please don't be punishing them. Please don't punish them when you're sending them away from you, something like timeout or naughty step or sending them to their room, because what you're doing then is you're actually emphasizing the separation. You're sending them away. You're saying, you know, I know you need me more, but actually I'm going to push you away even more. What they really need is for us to be the adult. Take a deep breath. Keep saying to yourself, this is tough right now, but it won't last forever. One day they're going to be great friends, but that day is just not now. It's nothing you've done wrong. There is nothing wrong with your older child. There is nothing wrong with your baby. It's just the normal, tricky transition. That it is a transition, and transitions don't last forever. But what they need is your support, and they need one-to-one time with, if you're a two-parent family, they need one-to-one time with both parents as much as possible, but particularly with mum, if the mum is normally with the baby or baby's breastfeeding. But just really, I think the easiest way to get through this is to be kind to yourself and kind to your child. It's keep repeating to yourself, this is normal, it will pass. They are grieving, and they'll go through different stages of grief, just like any periods of grief, but it will pass. You haven't done anything wrong. They will be great friends in the future, but big breaths, do what you need to do to get through this period. I promise you it will pass. I'm sure you're doing a great job. Keep up with the empathy and the understanding for yourself as well as for your child. If you want to learn more, then there's much more in dealing with, particularly with guilt over having new babies and tackling how to cope with toddlers or preschoolers and newborns as well, but in the second baby book. Thank you for joining in. I hope you helped that. Thanks. Bye.